We will jump in and get started here. Thank you for joining us today for our Small Business Boot Camp. I'm Robert Theobald, Small Business Ombudsman and Vice President of Small Business Services here at the Arizona Commerce Authority. One of the things we like to do as we start our each session is we like to have everybody post in the chat where they're tuning in from. I see Michelle already beat us to it and posted she's tuned in from Casa Grande, so thank you, Michelle. But yes, please post in the chat where you're from. We like to see where throughout the state and sometimes beyond the state boundaries we have participants from. So we have Tucson, Gilbert, Tuac, Phoenix, Tucson, Joseph City. All right, Miguel, NAU, Tucson, Phoenix, Tempe. All right, we've got all over the state from Tubac to Joseph City to NAU, Clifton. Excellent. We're glad to have everybody with us today. We're excited about today's session. But before we jump into that, I want to go through some of our generic slides that we'd like to share with everybody. First, we couldn't do these webinars without all of our community partners. They spend a lot of time, effort, in preparing their presentations, and they're willing to give back of their expertise to the small business community. So we're very grateful for them. Also, for those that may be new to the boot camp, the Small Business Boot Camp is designed to help small businesses prepare, plan, and grow. And we do that through our Tuesday morning webinars. And we also do it through other workshops, lunch and learns, and other events with our partners. So there's a lot of great opportunity for small businesses to gain the knowledge to help them prepare, plan, or grow their business. One of the key things is the Small Business Content Library. We record all of our webinars, our Tuesday webinars, and our virtual lunch and learns that we do, and we post them in the content library. You have access to well over 300, it's probably about 360 recorded webinars and workshops that you can access at any time, and there's no cost to access those recordings. The ACA also has a number of other programs to support small businesses. You can find these at azcommerce.com/programs. There's these 6 plus many more on the website. One of those is our small business checklist, and we like to talk about this a bit. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to it. But the small business checklist is an online interactive tool that helps small businesses and entrepreneurs that are looking to start their business or expand their business understand the commonly requested licensing, registration, and compliance requirements at the local, state, and federal levels. For example, Arizona does not require a state business license, and it's left up to the cities to decide if they want to have a business license. Some do and some don't. And to identify if your city that you want to work in or are working in requires one, you can go to the checklist and select the corresponding city, and it will give you that information. You can also access on there our virtual assistant, Sally, and Sally can help you with some of those quick answers as well. And there's even a generative AI option with Sally if you click the button that says ask a question. So give that a try and let us know your feedback on how Sally is working for you. Some quick updates as well. In our weekly newsletter that you'll get for having signed up for the boot camp, we're going to have a link to the Federal Reserve Small Business Credit Survey. This is super helpful if you take a few minutes to fill it out. The report that comes back from the Federal Reserve is really awesome on the amount of information and data that it shares to help businesses and service providers and government and others understand the situation of small businesses and their credit and what they're looking at in the future. So it's a very helpful tool. Hopefully you can take the time to fill it out. Also, just of note, we have the Small Business Lending Academy and the Small Business Digital Academy. Those are 2 cohort-style programs that we are running. Both programs are accepting applications at this time. The Small Business Lending Academy is new. It's going to be a small cohort, but it is a 7-week program that's going to be pretty intensive. But when you're done, you should have a lender-ready packet So if you're looking to get a loan to grow your business, this may be an option for you to help you be prepared for that loan. We are not making loans and promising loans as part of that, but you will have a packet that is ready to present to a lender. And the Digital Academy will help you with the basic levels of the digital world that we now live in, understanding some of the fundamentals like SEO, social media, and data analytics. We will post links to those programs in the chat as well, so you can take a look at that. Some of the upcoming sessions, we've got a great lineup scheduled throughout the end of the year. These are the next 3 besides today's session. But one I want to note is next, or in October 17th, Thursday, is one of those lunch and learns that we will be doing with the SBA. The SBA office will have their experts on with us to talk about their new capital access credit line or line of credit that they are doing. It's a new product, a new lending product to help small businesses get a line of credit to help them with their business operations and growth. So we're really excited to have the experts from the SBA on with us on that one. Again, October 17th at 11 a.m. We'll post a link for that as well in the chat. And with that, we're going to jump into today's session. We're excited to have Thomas Barr back with us. Thomas is Vice President of Business Development at Local First. He's been a great partner of ours for many years with the boot camp. And we're glad to have him back with us to talk about preparing for the holidays and keeping it local. It's a great presentation. I've seen it before, and that's why I asked him to come on and share it with everybody else. So Thomas, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, let you take over. Just a reminder to everybody, please use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen for questions, so we can use the chat for some interaction back and forth. But Thomas, it is all yours.
Thanks so much, Robert, and thanks for the ACA team for inviting me and Local First to participate today. Excited to come back virtually. It's been some time, and share some ideas and strategies and things you can be thinking about in centering your business ahead of the holidays. And so a lot of what I'll share about today is concepts, examples, ideas to just get you thinking. It's September, you've got a little bit of time, but the holidays will be here before you know it. And to share some ways that you can just be considering how to position your business as locally owned, to how to tell your story, and how to connect with people, right? Because there's a lot of competition out there for holiday spending. How can you leverage being a locally owned business to drive more traffic to you, to get more attention for your business, and hopefully not just make a single transaction with someone, but create customer loyalty so that they continue to not just support your business, but spend money with your business long term. So wanted to give some grounding with what we do at Local First Arizona before I dig into all the details about the presentation today. But for those of you that don't know us, we've been around for 21 years. We are the largest local business coalition in all of the country, and support thousands of businesses throughout Arizona every single year. So a lot of what we do is going into communities, meeting businesses on the ground floor, and really getting to know who you are and what you need support with and what your story is, and then connect you to resources, opportunities, people, referrals, and also to elevate your voice as a locally owned business in every way that we can. So we started 21 years ago. If you're familiar with downtown Phoenix or Roosevelt Road, that's where our headquarters is. But way back in the late 90s, it really wasn't anything that it is today. So you come there today and there's restaurants and galleries and retailers, art, culture, music, all the things that you would want to experience when you go to visit somewhere else, right? All of the unique aspects of a main street or a downtown, that sort of a thing. And so I just share this because this didn't happen overnight, and this wasn't, because these locally owned businesses in this neighborhood were not working together. We believe at Local First Arizona that it takes a community of locally owned businesses that are connected to each other to build great places. And so be thinking about that as I'm sharing the examples today. How do you position yourself in your community as a steward of the community through being a locally owned business? Who do you work with? Who do you do business with? Who are you connected to or not connected to yet that you could be collaborating with? And how could you grow and build and expand on that? If you do come to Roosevelt Row today, which I saw a lot of people outside of the Phoenix area, which is fantastic. One thing I'll mention is that we're also the Arizona Rural Development Council at Local First Arizona and provide resources and opportunities to communities all throughout rural Arizona as well. So if you need support or help, we're here to do that too. But if you do end up coming to Phoenix sometime, please come say hi to us on Roosevelt Row. We are one of the top 10 art districts in the country, and we have a lot of walkability and great things to see. So we'd love to say hi. So one of the reasons our organization was started is because we saw a lot of disconnection from people that were living in Arizona to our place that's here. And one of the examples that I'll give is there's lots of people that come from other places that call Arizona home after they grew up somewhere else, right? And I give Chicago as an example. We have a lot of Chicagoans living in Arizona. A lot of Midwesterners come here. What we try to drive home is that it's really important for people to be connected to place. When people are connected to place, it's proven it builds more prosperity for that place. And so one of the reasons we were started was to drive home the message that in order to connect people to place, you've got to have thriving locally owned businesses. If you don't have that component, then there's not a strong connection to place. And so the example I'll give is Chicago. If you think about this, people think of Chicago and you might think of the Chicago Cubs, right? Well, the Chicago Cubs lost baseball for 100 years, right? They did not win the World Series for 100 years, yet they sold out Wrigley Field every single game. So it wasn't a great baseball team necessarily that sold out that stadium. It was the nature of that community. It was the neighborhoods, the businesses, the people connecting to each other, the walkability, all of those great things, right? And so if we want to build a better Arizona, we've got to make sure that we have a rich, thriving, lasting, sustainable, and inclusive local business community. So every single one of you that's an entrepreneur or small business, if you're not growing and thriving and strong, then that's a missed opportunity for us to connect another person to Arizona, right? So our mission at Local First is to make sure that you are thriving, strong, and doing great as an entrepreneur or local business that's here. So this is a snapshot of us today. None of these numbers are put here to gloat or to say, hey, we're awesome at Local First and we're the best, but we are here to say, look, this is really important to people. We know that connecting the locally owned businesses matters. And all of these things we are doing all throughout the year. We are getting businesses mentioned in the media. We are deploying really cool resources to businesses every single day, from helping businesses get financed for green loans. We're helping rural businesses get found online so that people, when they're driving through your community, they find you when they Google you. And we're sharing those stories through our newsletters, through our social media, all of that. So we want to connect with you. We want to share your story. We want to make sure that people know who you are and that you're doing great things. And just remember that connection to place matters, right? Giving charitably, voting, volunteering, these are all things that are results of having a thriving local economy in Arizona. Okay, so getting into more of the details. I want you to be thinking about how you can be positioning yourself when you're talking to your customers, when you're talking to your clients, when you're sharing your story through your social media, through your website, through your newsletters, how you greet people when they come into your place of business, when you answer the phone, because all of that matters when it comes to business, when it comes to people being loyal to your business, right? And so I'm just going to give an example right here. If we were to hear today that 15 locally owned coffee shops and 15 Starbucks locations were to open in Arizona. Now, I'm not here to bash Starbucks, right? They're a great chain. They do great things for their employees. Hey, they pay all their taxes, right? They even pay for the college tuition for some of their staff after they've been there for some time, right? I'm not here to bash them, but I'm here to talk about the economic impact that you have as a locally owned business. And we're going to use that example through coffee locations. So let's think about today. and 15 Starbucks locations were opening up, how many local printers in Arizona would get a phone call saying, hey, we'd like to do business with you? There wouldn't be any of those in Arizona. Let's think about all of the graphic designers that would get a phone call saying, hey, we need new logos because we're 15 new businesses. There wouldn't be any of those either. We could think about web developers for new websites. You kind of get the point at this point, right? We could go on and on and on and talk about all of these, what we call secondary jobs that wouldn't get extra accounts because 15 Starbucks were opening up, right? But let's think about 15 locally owned, independent businesses who created their own brands are opening up in Arizona right here today. And these are actually all 15 locally owned coffee shops, if you didn't know that. They're going to hire 15 web developers, 15 graphic designers, 15 accountants, 15, insurance providers, like on and on and on down the list. We have to remember that locally owned businesses aren't just the ones that we can see. A lot of them work in the background. A lot of them are probably some of you, right? And so there's all this connectivity when it comes to how we spend our money. And usually somebody looks at this and says, well, that's just economies of scale because I could spend my money at Starbucks and get cheaper coffee. And we all know that's likely not true, right? All of our lattes, all of our cold brews, all of our mochas, they're usually about the same price when you go to a local coffee shop versus a Starbucks. And variety is good, right? So as you're thinking about how you position your business, as you think about how you position yourself as a local business, and then also think about the lens of the holidays, make sure you remember how you're sharing that story. What's the experience that somebody has when they come into your business or they do business with you that's going to set you apart? How are you going to make it so that when somebody does that holiday shopping with you, they go and they tell 15 family and friends over the holidays, you've got to go check out this place. They had the coolest setup. They had the nicest staff, right? You are delivering excellence in every way so that that person that walks away goes and tells as many people as they possibly can, right? I know everybody listening would rather have that happen than to maybe have a negative Yelp review, right? So what are you doing every single day to position yourself to talk about your impact in the local economy, how you give back to the community, how you're a steward for the community, how you offer the best service? Like, what are all those things you're doing and what could you improve? Right? Maybe you're not doing all of those things and there's things that you could start to work on, right? Maybe your staff, you need to help train up so that they have better customer service. That's something that you can work on, right? So think about all the things that are always in your control as a business. So in thinking really specifically about the holidays with that lens, really be thinking about all the things you need to do now, right? You don't want to be thinking in November, in mid-November, all the things you've got to do in order to make sure that people are finding you for the holidays. You could be working on all this right now. So what signage are you going to need? Are you going to want to run holiday specials? Do you need flyers? Do you need posters? Do you need new signage that showcases a new brand for your business? Think about social media, right? You can be writing copy for posts right now. Store it in a Google Doc, get them ready to go, get the hashtags that you want to use, get the other businesses around you that you want to tag. Maybe you're going to run a special social media campaign during the holidays. You can be working on that now and getting prepared for it so that you can just plug it away and get it going and getting people excited about visiting your business and doing business with you. Think about the events and campaigns that are going to be happening. There's things that we do at Local First to celebrate local businesses through the holidays? What other things are happening in the community? Maybe it's your local neighborhood. Maybe it's the local school. Maybe it's a regional thing that's happening where there's a festival that's going to be happening and you want to get your business out there with a booth. You need to start planning for all those opportunities right now. Local marketing opportunities. Are there any advertising specials that you want to invest in? Are there any local media companies that you could reach out to right now and ask what they do for locally owned businesses to celebrate them? Are there any pitches that you could do to the media? Are there any local TV stations or newsletters or papers that are going to be putting out, hey, here's all the best businesses to do your holiday shopping at? Make sure you reach out now, get on those lists, get prepared for what you're going to be offering and what's going to set yourself apart for the holidays. And then a few others of these on here that I'm going to share some examples of. Collaborating with other businesses is key, right? You don't have to go at this alone. You're not not every business is an island, right? If you want to be successful, you've got to think about the collaboration of the businesses around you. or the businesses that have similar demographics of people that you could attract. So centralize telling your story, right? As you're thinking about connecting people to your business, they want to know who you are. People are 10 times more likely to stay connected to your business if they get to meet you as the owner, or they get to, see your story. Hey, I even go to still when I go into Food City or Bash's, I see a big photo of Eddie Basha on the wall, right? So there's still a connection to the original founder of that business. You want to train your team. So if you have employees, make sure that you're not just doing this all yourself. Do you need to upskill them on customer service? Do you need to improve, how they're greeting people when they walk in? How will you set yourself apart? I'll give one quick example. Community Tire Pros was a really great business. They are not in business anymore, but they had 6 locations throughout Greater Phoenix for a long time. Owners Howard and Pat Fleshman, great people. Howard would do some really creative things with his staff. He found, he had to be hiring younger individuals over time. And he wanted to make sure that they were providing good eye contact to all of the people that walked into the shop, so that people felt heard and that people felt that they were getting good service. And so randomly, he would show up at the shops and he would walk behind one of the gentlemen, and if they were on their computer writing things down, he would go behind them and ask them, what's the eye color of the last customer that you spoke to today? And that would tell him whether or not that they were making sure that they were giving great eye contact, good customer service to the people they were talking to. So you don't have to do that, but that's just one example of thinking about how you can make sure that your team is trained and ready to go. So remember that there's lots of statistics, there's lots of marketing materials that you can utilize. This is one of the things we do at Local First, is we provide businesses with tools and resources to talk about the economic impact of spending money locally. And so if you look at the left bag here, this is how much money stays in the local economy when you spend it with a local business. Only $13 stays in our local economy when you spend it with a national chain. So this is something that you can be leveraging, something you can be talking about, something that you want to make sure you have in your materials, you can print out, you can put in your store, that sort of a thing. Changing Hands Bookstore does a really good job of this. Every time you buy a book, they offer you a book card that you can put to save your pages. And it says all of the 10 ways that you are contributing to your community through supporting a locally owned business. So that's some things to think about how to talk about the economic impact of being locally owned. So back to Starbucks, and I promise I am not picking on them. You always also want to be looking at, what is non-local competition doing? All these big businesses out there are spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on marketing, right? They want to know what will drive customers to their business, and they are pushing out ads, and they are paying people to do market research and all these things. Hey, one thing you can do is just look at what they're doing. What are they doing that's great? And what are they doing that's not so great, right? And how could you set yourself apart from that? Maybe you can take ideas from them for things that they're doing great and implement them in your business. That's taking free research and free marketing that they've invested millions of dollars into for your own small business without paying a dime, right? So make sure you're looking at what they're doing. Their cleanliness of their stores, right? How easy it is to get in, how easy it is to access them on Google. All of these things are important. But the other component of it is think about what they're doing wrong. Think about the things that you could be doing better. And the example I give for Starbucks is if you've ever talked to somebody who's been to Starbucks, which most people have been to Starbucks, 9 times out of 10, those people are going to say, at one point in time, Starbucks has written my name wrong on the cup, right? That is a known thing about that company, is that you could tell them my name's Thomas, and when I go to get my cup, it might say John, right? That is just a known thing that they sometimes get people's names wrong. So what could you be doing as a business that differentiates yourself? Know the names of your customers, get to know them well, refer to them by their names, make sure that you're getting them correctly when they're telling you, train your staff to do so as well, and give extra attention to it. When people know that somebody at a business knows them personally and knows their name, and it's a local business, that is going to drive so much loyalty from that individual that they're going to be customers for life, right? So make sure that you are thinking about these things and looking at what other non-local competition is doing. So you really want to think about this. Here's some just notes and points that you should consider, that you should be thinking through every single week as you're operating your business. What do you have that attracts people? And what do you have that they can't get anywhere else? Could be service, could be the experience. It doesn't have to be a product, right? But it could be the expertise you bring, right? I go to Tempe Camera because I know I'm going to get the best advice about camera lenses compared to if I went to Best Buy, right? That's something they offer that no one else can give me. What makes you worth a special trip? I'm not going to lie and say that it's not easier to go to a chain store that's around the corner than to a specialty shop that might be 4 or 5 miles away, right? What makes it so that somebody will go out of their way to find your business? What sets you apart from everyone else? The uniqueness of your business. How are you making sure people experience that? And then again, go tell 15 people about that great experience they had. And then what do people think about when they think of your business? When they walk in, is it clean? Is it nice? Does it smell good? Is it an inviting place? Is it a welcoming place? Is it somewhere they want to come back to? What do they think about when they think about your business? And then why do people patronize your business right now? And think about the holidays, right? If they're going to be doing their shopping, why should people want to patronize your business and go tell all their family and friends? All right, so here's just one example. I wanted to give a couple examples of ways that you can think about collaborating with other businesses if you have similar demographics of another customer type, and then if you have similar regional footprint as other businesses. So the first example I'll give is based off of demographics. So Duck and Decanter, been around since 1972, family-owned sandwich shop and coffee shop here in the Phoenix area. Changing Hands bookstore, long-standing locally owned bookstore in Tempe and Phoenix. They years ago were having anniversaries at the same time. I believe Changing Hands was at 35 years and Duck and Decanter was at 40 years. I can't quite remember the similarities, but they were very, very close. And so at the same time they were having these anniversaries, they were having some challenges. Duck and Decanter was trying to feature more Arizona wines, and they just weren't getting sold. And at the same time, Changing Hands Bookstore was trying to have more author readings and signings, and they were seeing a big decline in attendance at their store. And that's a big problem for a bookstore, because if you are hosting author signings and readings and people start to not come, what happens? Those authors go and tell other authors, hey, don't do that, because not a lot of people came. So they got to have people show up. So we sat down with both of them and we said, hey, look, you've got challenges happening right now at the same time. They're different challenges, but what's similar between the two of you? You have the same demographic. You have the same demographic of the type of person that would go into Duck and Decanter and buy a sandwich shop and would go to Changing Hands bookstore and buy a book or walk around and buy, a gift for somebody. It's kind of paint the picture of the same type of person that would do that, right? And so these businesses are not next door to each other, right? They are in different parts of Greater Phoenix. However, they had this similarity in the type of person that would support their businesses. So what we did is we said, Changing Hands, why don't you and Duck and Decanter get together and buy your ads, your holiday ads for your anniversary, celebrating your anniversaries together. So instead of buying separate ads to celebrate your anniversaries or go at it alone, why don't you collaborate and do it together so that people can see two locally owned businesses side by side celebrating their anniversaries arm in arm. So that was the first thing they did. Then we said, we know that you have a decline in people coming out to your events, Changing Hands, and Duck and Decanter, you want to feature your Arizona wines that aren't getting sold. Let's do this. Let's host the next 5 author signings and readings from Changing Hands in the courtyard of Duck and Decanter. And at those author signings and readings, Duck and Decanter, you only feature Arizona wines. Solve the problem immediately. All of a sudden, Changing Hands had these really unique event experiences. People came out in droves, sold them out. And at the same time, they were introducing people to the Arizona wine that Duck and Decanter had been dying to get off the shelves. All of a sudden, all of this wine is being sold. People are experiencing it. They're connecting people to something new, right? So you don't have to have the same issue. You don't have to have the same challenge as a business, but you could have a similar demographic of the type of person that would shop at your business or do business with you as someone else that you might work with. How could you collaborate with them? Sit down, think through it, come up with strategies and ideas to drive people out. There's lots of things you can do to do that. Here's just an example of businesses over the years that we know have collaborated. I mentioned Community Tire Pros. You know, every year they used to buy gift cards to Bashes and Harkins for their staff for the holidays. Bookmans would offer specials at Community Tire Pros. If kids would come in and finish all of their readings to or actually those were tickets to Harkins theaters, excuse me, that they would give to kids if they finished all of their readings for the summer. So there's always all this cross collaboration going on between these locally owned businesses over the years. So it's just a good example of that. And then, you know, the power of what I'm sharing today is what I would just leverage into call it leverage your localness. How are you identifying your business as local? Does anybody know that your business is locally owned? Is it on any of your signage? Do you print it on your receipts? Does your staff thank people after they've done business with you for shopping with a locally owned business? When your customers come in, do you thank them for buying local today and keeping money in the community? Have you thought about the non-local competition and what they're doing and how you can leverage being a locally owned business like the Starbucks example? Are you using local statistics to close your sales, right? Are you telling people how much more money will stay in your local community when they spend it with you? I saw people from all over Arizona on this call today. People are coming to Tubac or Sedona or wherever it is. How are you using those local statistics to make sure that people know if they spend it with you rather than the chain down the road, that money is staying in the community? And then how are you telling your story? Is it on your website? Is it through your social media? Are there photos? Are there ways that you can show people that you are tied to the community? I always love to give the example of the local bagel shop that's down my street. I automatically always know they're locally owned because the owner's always popping in and out, and it's just one of those places. But one of the things that he has, if you look behind the counter, is every T-ball team and soccer team that he has sponsored over the years from the local neighborhoods and the local schools. He doesn't have any kids in any of these teams. These are just people that came to him and said, hey, would you sponsor my club for $100, $150, whatever? At the end of the season, they gave him a little picture of the team so that he could put it up and show the pride that he had in supporting them that year. So he must have 20, 25 of these on the back wall. Really cool, right? Really cool way to show, hey, I'm in this neighborhood and I'm going to make sure that the kids coming to this neighborhood receive a great experience and hopefully grow up and come buy bagels from my coffee shop, right? So there's ways you can do that. And then don't forget to think like a team and collaborate. The holidays are coming up. You don't have to go out alone. You can collaborate with other businesses on advertising. You can collaborate in a wide variety of ways. And really just think about the regional impact of driving dollars to you, especially if you're one of the rural businesses out there. People will go on trips to do their shopping. How can you reach out to your local chamber of commerce, your local tourism department? Hey, reach out to Local First. We'd be happy to sit down with you and come up with some ideas and strategies to make sure you're driving people to the area, right? If we can just get people to where you are, they will spend money with you if you have good offerings and a great product or experience. So one of the other examples I wanted to give you that I mentioned was a regional way to market yourself and think about presenting your business. So here I present to you, there is a variety of businesses here. We have Smeeks on the left side, which is or was a local candy shop. Red Hot Robot, which was a Japanese robot shop. Stinkweeds, a record store. Francis, which is a women's clothing boutique. Arizona Hi-Fi that sells records, and then also Halo Piercings, which obviously did piercings at the end. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 businesses. Not many of them have much to do with each other, right? You might be in the same situation. You're in a plaza, you're in a place, and all the businesses around you are a little bit different. So what happened is these businesses were actually going through construction right ahead of the holidays. So not an ideal situation to be right as the holidays are coming up, right? So what they did is they pulled their resources together. They sat down and they said, what could we do to make sure that we can get people to this plaza that we're in rather than having everybody just go to the malls and spend their money somewhere else? So what they did is they sat down and they said, hey, the street behind us is called Medlock. So let's name our plaza. Let's call it Medlock Plaza. Let's actually have a name for it. They never had it before. And then they said, instead of us doing all of our holiday advertising on our own, what if we hired a local artist and had them create a cool graphic of all of our businesses in different colors? And then what if we bought advertising together? And they did, and that's exactly what they did. So what you're looking at here is a local artist that went out on the street and drew up a cool illustration of all of their businesses. They took this graphic, they pulled their money together, and they bought ads together, and they said, "Unique gifts, 6 different ways." That was the title right above this graphic that was put in the ads. And it was awesome. They had people come out, families would come out and see that they had a variety of things to spend their money at. And it was really successful for them. They were going through construction and the holidays at the same time. That's really hard, but they were able to figure out a way to drive people to their businesses and spend their holiday money with them, even though they were going through a challenge. So regionally, think about how you can position your business. Maybe it's not a graphic like this, but could you pull your resources together, put together maybe a little event? Could you buy advertising together? Could you promote yourselves in unity together? Do you have a name for your street that you can celebrate and support and get people to come out and spend money with the businesses that are with you and around you? There is true strength and power in locally owned businesses collaborating, working together. And we just really, 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 really want to drive home that this is really important for you to think about. So again, don't try to be cheaper. You don't have to drive your prices down or try to be cheaper than the big guys. Be different. What's the wider variety of products that you have? What are products that the other companies don't have? How can you be more convenient to them, right? How can you have better customer service? Have the best expertise on staff for all of your products. Make sure you know what the best new products coming out are and how people can get them from you. How can you go the extra mile? How can you be consistent so that every time somebody comes in, they have similar experiences and they get to know your business in good ways? So these are just some quick examples of ways we've seen businesses over the years do these things. This is Keep It Cut. They're a local hair cutting salon. They sell memberships for haircuts that you can gift to people. And so one of the cool things they have on their website is all the community organizations they're a part of and that they volunteer for and that they give back to all year long. Really cool thing to see, right? Again, this is just a way that they've given back and participated in the community. This is Scramble, a really cool sign that you see when you walk into their business. They actually list all the other locally owned businesses that they source from. Caesar Graphics does their printing. They get their milk from Dan's Eyes and Dairy. They get their eggs from Hickman's, so on and so forth, right? So are you telling this story, right? Do you have signage? Or do people know the other businesses that are being supported when they go to your business? These are all really, really easy ways that you can leverage people's loyalty over time. And then think about the opportunities for your local company and strategies ahead of the holidays. Identify local vendors you could do business with and celebrate them, just like the graphic I just shared. What are other local businesses you're working with and people don't know? Look at the events and the networking opportunities for the holidays. Are people looking to host something and you could be the host? Or are there special events happening where there's a pop-up opportunity for your business to participate in to make sure that people know that you've got holiday specials coming up? And then always remember, you can have the best customer service possible and no one can take that away from you, right? Make sure that everybody that leaves doing business with you, whether it's virtual, in person, that you provide the best value that they could possibly have. The other day, I'll just give one example. I went to a local restaurant and they were really, really slammed and busy. I could tell that their servers were down. I could tell just because, my wife and I were sitting there for about an hour and a half, and we were actually only visited maybe 3 times by the staff. And so it wasn't the best experience. We had to wait a really long time for food, that sort of thing. However, right before we checked out, the server came over to us and just said, "Hey, look, I'm really sorry that I was unable to come over here today," and just explain the situation. She's like, "We just had a new person start. They're getting up to speed. We had 2 people call out. I've been slammed all night. And I'm really sorry if that contributed to your experience." And hey, that just that acknowledgement changed our entire perspective on what was going on. We had a short, nice 3-minute conversation with her, asked her how long she'd been working there, et cetera, et cetera. I would totally go back, right? Because I know that that was a unique scenario and everyone has bad days and every business has a pipe break or the AC go out or something happen. You can still just acknowledge it and have good service to the people that come to your business, and that will keep them loyal to you. I mentioned this before, but use local statistics to close deals for your company. You can do that all the time. And again, just remember, you don't have to be cheaper. Just set yourself apart and be different. So I'm really, really happy to be here today. If you want to get in touch with us at Local First Arizona, we're at localfirstaz.com. Feel free to fill out our form and get in touch with us, or find us on social media, or our email is right here, info@localfirstaz.com, if you want some information about coming out to our events, participating in the things that we do. And we're just super grateful for the Commerce Authority for inviting us today. So thanks so much, Faith.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Thomas. I'm always so energized after hearing this presentation, and I'm sure our participants are too. We do have some time before we officially close today's session. So if you do have questions for Thomas about Local First or more driving that local charm for your business, please enter that into the Q&A. And John and Thomas, I'm sorry, I know you just took down your slide. Would you share that so everyone can get that Local First website information and tap into all of the fantastic events and goings on of Local First as an additional support for you and your business. Again, we're always so excited for this conversation of how we can collaborate, and not just for the holidays. This is an ongoing effort and strategy that every entrepreneur and business owner can employ for their benefit. So I don't see any questions. So I encourage you all to connect with Thomas and his team at Local First Arizona. Of course, today's session will be included as part of our content library. So if you were unable to get some of that information, or you want to revisit some of those examples, I encourage you to find the recording in our content library later this week. But thank you again, Thomas, Vice President of Business Development at Local First Arizona. We are always happy for your time and presentation. And I see you were getting other kudos in the Q&A and chat. So thank you again for your time and information. For all of you joining, we'll be here next Tuesday at 9 a.m. for our next week's Small Business Boot Camp. Thank you again, everyone, for joining, and hope you have a wonderful day.